Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed, lab-proven to work fast, and proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Do you love movies? So do I. What's up, y'all? It's KB, and I love movies. Inviting you to listen to The Conversation, a film podcast where passion meets perspective and opinion. From the old school to the new, I invite a guest on to discuss the movies that thrill us, challenge us, break our hearts, or even blow our minds. There's always new episodes dropping wherever you get your podcasts. So join the conversation. We don't just watch movies. We love talking about them too. The Conversation with KB Loves Movies, a part of Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
We're in Way Media. Welcome back, Midnight Viewers. I'm Father Malone, and you're listening to Anthologies Attack, where we examine anthologies of every genre in media, not just horror. We like to fancy ourselves sophisticates here at Midnight Viewing. A broad spectrum of entertainment is our goal. Now, having said that, we're doing 5 horror anthologies tonight. We're on a portmanteau pilgrimage, a short-form sojourn, but I can't do it alone. Antonio Llapur, my regular co-host, is recovering from the 48-hour film project, and he'll be back next week, so I called in a ringer. I'm not going to call you a guest. I'm going to call you my co-host because it makes me feel like a team.
Oh, okay.
My co-host tonight needs no introduction, but I'm going to delight in presenting one anyway. I bet everyone wishes they had seen The Doors perform live, or Led Zeppelin, or Janis Joplin. Well, he did, and not from the cheap seats. He was, in fact, part of the crew of the legendary Fillmore East. From there and NYU Film School, found his way west, where he became part of the trailer department of New World Pictures. By trailer department, I, of course, mean him and Joe Dante. That's it. New World is, was, and forever shall be the domain of Mr. Roger Corman, a man who knew a thing or two about horror anthologies. It was there that the beautiful taglines like, Ron Howard pops his clutch and tells the world to eat my dust were born. Boy, I miss true exploitation. Yes, he's a music man, a whiz on the flatbed, or were you guys using moviolas?
Moviolas then.
Okay. My co-host tonight is equally adept behind the camera. Over the years, he's done incredible work, both theatrically and on television, helming episodes of Fame, LA Law, Moonlighting, Parenthood, Dawson's Creek, Ally McBeal. I'm skipping a lot. Go read his IMDb page if you want to grow a lot older. Witches of East End, Nashville, a series of unfortunate events. I loved that fucking show. Sonnenfeld is wildly underrated, I think. As well as an episode of Twilight Zone 85, which we covered on this very program. He also made TV movies like Shake, Rattle, and Rock, Rebel Highway, The Temptations, and Elvis Meets Nixon. Theatrically, he made Hollywood Boulevard with Joe Dante. Death Sport. Are you credited on that?
On Death Sport, yes.
Okay. Heart Beeps with Andy Kaufman, Rock and Roll High School, and my personal favorite, 1983's Get Crazy. He's a writer, director, actor, producer, a massive foodie, a professor. That's right. Prepare to be educated, dum-dums. But above all, he's a curator, which is a position we need more of these days. Someone willing to collect and disseminate all the gems. Look at the vast collection of mixtapes he's amassed over the years, or the vast collection of vinyl he owns, or his vast collection of films. And personally, when I found myself stranded alone in Nashville, Tennessee for a few days, he provided me with the most comprehensive list of everywhere I needed to eat. And let me tell you, every single place was a fucking treasure. Midnight viewers, it is my deepest honor to welcome to the show Mr. Allan Arkush. Welcome to Midnight Viewing, Allan.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. What are we talking about tonight, sir?
There was a request for anthologies and horror anthologies.
Yes, indeed. And you provided a history of the horror anthology up to 1990, which is fantastic. I love all of your choices. One, however, particularly delighted me, and that we'll get to that one. Do you want to do these chronologically or jump around?
Anyway, surprise me.
Well, let's start with the gentlest of them all. Let's start with Flesh and Fantasy from 1943.
Charles Boyer, whose dream became a living nightmare. Barbara Stanwyck, chained to a deep, dangerous secret. Edward G. Robinson, under compulsion to kill. Betty Field, wanting yet fearing love. Robert Cummings, taking beauty where he found it. Robert Benchley, who tried not to be afraid. Thomas Mitchell, who peered into the awesome future. Charles Winninger, Anna Lee, C. Aubrey Smith, Dame Mae Whitty, Edgar Barrier, in a drama of love, of hate, of terror, of volcanic emotions that changed 8 lives.
I had a dream, too, on the boat. Oh, not while I was asleep. Maybe it will come true.
If you want it to, it will.
I've never wanted anything more in my life.
There are things it's sometimes better not to know. Speak out, man. What is in my hand?
Murder. Lots of stars out tonight, King.
Perhaps they're telling us something. I think we should listen.
Now, there was a whole omnibus spree going on in the studios then, right?
Yes, and the director of this, Julien Duvivier, is a very stylish director. And I think he did a couple of different anthologies. And
well, he had done Tales of Manhattan directly before this.
Did he really? Okay,
yeah.
That's it. Yes, and Tales of Manhattan is pretty damn good, you know. And I just kind of like his stylish work. I haven't seen, even though I bought it, I haven't seen this in like 20 years or so, 30 years. So my memory of it is very dim. Could you
absolutely
help me out here?
Okay. Tales of Manhattan, we get a wraparound story, which initially, evidently, there wasn't going.
All right, well, I'm talking about Flesh and Fantasy.
Oh, Flesh and Fantasy. What did I just say?
Tales of Manhattan.
Oh, yeah. No. Flesh and Fantasy is what I mean. Originally supposed to be 4 tales, cut down to 3. And initially, there was no wraparound, but at the last second, they threw one in with Robert Benchley, who he and another fella are telling stories back and forth about dreams they've had and weird things that they've encountered in their life. And that gives us 3 segments. The first one is the one starring Betty Field, where she's a homely woman who's very angry, and it's during Mardi Gras, and there's a voodoo festival going on, and she's given a mask that makes her beautiful. And I think Robert Hutton falls in love with her.
So Twilight Zone, isn't it? It's
my God. So EC Comics, before EC Comics, they would do that one almost word for word.
Yeah. And the thing about Duvivier also, he's really got a great eye. And I think he, just where he puts the camera, makes things more interesting. Tales of Manhattan being a great example of that. And those the images, that's what I remember from this. And these great cast, Thomas Mitchell, you know, what's interesting about these anthologies, they seem to be very fluid in terms of how they were made. They went through a lot of changes. And when one section was better than another, they may bring back that director or that writer team to do them. And also, they pretty much represented in a way that doesn't exist anymore the studios that made them. You know, Paramount Pictures did Six of a Kind and a whole bunch of them. And they were basically every star at Paramount, you know, and they have a director do two or three of them. And then if something worked out, they might add a wraparound or they might do another chapter. So it's interesting in how it's the only kinds of film then that had so much, again, that word fluidity of how they changed along the way. It's not unusual, obviously, in a TV series today, because you'll go back and do reshoots or you'll go back and recast. But I think this was probably that the anthology was a bit of an anomaly in Hollywood at the time.
Yeah, you know, they seem to be sprouting up. And then, you know, obviously once television came around and you could anthologize television, so you got Twilight Zone, you know, the future and such, they became less necessary. But I think the fans of anthologies are hardcore fans of anthologies. And certainly the ones we're talking about inspired entire generations of filmmakers who love the form, and no matter the public's taste of it, want to keep trying the form. And the fluidity of it, what you're talking about is so good because, you know, how many times, you know, you spend years of your life getting one film off the ground where you get to tell one story and, you know, you're married to that for years and years. And here it's like, here's 40 minutes, go nuts in a completely different style. We don't really care. It's you're only holding one piece of the puzzle, you know?
And, you know, when you look at the amount of films people made, I mean, in the early 30s, Warner's director by the name of William Wellman did a lot of good movies. I think he made 5 films in 2 years, you know, and they were all pre-code. And I think one that your fans would really like would be called Wild Boys of the Road.
I don't know this one.
Wild Boys of the Road is the story of teenagers at the beginning of the Depression, and they realize that their parents can't afford to keep them, in a sense of the parents are so strapped and losing stuff, they decide to run away from home as a group to save the parents money and effort.
It's like Hansel and Gretel.
Yes, and they hit the rails, okay? And there is a lot, it's shot on location a lot. And there is a lot of very harsh action. There's actually a rape scene in it. And they end up going to these stops on the train where there is a whole community of lost teenagers. And these encampments.
How have I not heard this movie before?
I know.
What's going on?
And it's got Frankie Darrow in it, and it's really excellent. The studio made them make a change at the end. The original version was very down, like these kids had no future. And the studio made it like, oh, everything's okay. The government's going to help them.
Sure.
But I got on that topic of William Wellman and how fast these movies are made. You know.
Well, you know, certainly in the case of Flesh and Fantasy, that, you know, this is a chance for one of my favorite things in the world, which is sophisticated Edward G. Robinson.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone remembers the caricature, the Bugs Bunny impression of Edward G. Robinson, the gangster, the thug. But anytime he can sort of put on a tuxedo and speak like the man are born is really a treat. And we get a lot of him. We get double him here because it's him and his reflections.
Yeah. And he really, as an actor, had a very broad range. As a sophisticated man, you have The Woman in the Window by Fritz Lang, you know, which is as good a noir as ever. Talk about a surprise ending, you know, and loaded with Langian paranoia. And that's a really good Edward G. Robinson performance. And then you have Scarlet Street, where he's kind of a middle-class guy who is not as much of what he wanted to be in life as he'd hoped. And he gets entangled with a really bad woman who takes him for everything he has and claims to be a painter, takes his paintings and sells them as her own. It's a fascinating movie. And Robinson is tragic in that movie, you know. So is this the end of Rico? Is the Little Caesar guy?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, but yeah, just a downbeaten fella. We've covered him. He was on an episode of Night Gallery, season 2, The Messiah is Due on Mott Street, where he was heartbreaking in the performance
Right.
of end of his life old man. So yeah, wonderful to see him here too. And the effects in this movie. Speaking of the way this movie was shot with Julien Duvivier, it really is sumptuously shot.
Oh,
It's
always.
obviously this is shot on the back lot at Universal. Yeah. But it doesn't feel that way ever. And whenever we're on a soundstage, it's so beautifully lit. This is a black and white movie that feels as rich and ravishing as anything we were getting in Technicolor later.
Yeah, and it takes place in this country that I call Hollywood, USA. Okay. There is a Hollywood movie. Now, I don't know how to break this to you, but Casablanca was not shot in Casablanca. Yes, I know.
I want my money back. How dare
exactly.
Tricksters.
And Shanghai Express was not shot in Shanghai, and Morocco, not in Morocco. And this is a style of movie making where you accept the world creation of it. And it gives you a context for the ultra melodramatic parts of the story and the script. And I think that really, really helps flesh and fantasy, And in a way, Roger Corman tapped into that with his Poe movies,
I agree 100% with that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And they are the set deck and everything, and the similarity of it from film to film makes them feel anthologized because they're stylistically so consistent,
They do. Corman's Poe movies in particular feel like all of one volume, like an anthology of anthologies. It's incredible in a way.
I think it's Tomb of Lygia shot on location at a castle.
Oh yeah, with his tiny specs. I'll never forget Vincent Price and his specs in that graveyard with the glass coffin.
That's a really good movie, and so is Mask of the Red Death. I think most people point to that as a highlight. So
I certainly think Mask of the Red Death is the best Poe movie. It might be my favorite Corman movie of all time, honestly.
Can you guess what mine is? Can you guess the 2 that are my favorites?
That he directed?
That he directed.
Oh God! Oh geez! Oh no! Please just tell me, because every time I think of Roger Corman, I think of Little Shop of Horrors. I think of the lesser.
Close.
Oh, okay.
Bucket of Blood.
Oh my God! Yes, Bucket of Blood with Dick Miller. Oh my God!
That makes sense.
Yes, it totally makes sense for you. 1000%.
Poetry. I have to in order to make art, I have to kill. And Dick Miller with the beret. Come on.
Oh, it's so perfect. Yes, you're right.
Okay, that's one. And knowing my background in rock and roll and so forth, would it be The Trip?
Oh, it is The Trip. Wow. Huh. I listen, I know a lot of people from your vintage who tell me that movie is terrible. I love that movie. So
it is and it isn't.
Okay.
It's the distance from it has made the dialogue a little laughable.
Sure. I actually think it improves over time, honestly.
Yes, in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody who dropped acid would probably think twice to have Bruce Dern be your guy. He just doesn't seem.
I think in regular life you don't want Bruce Dern being
it's
not
just
on
not.
Psychedelics.
And there's a line in it that Joe Dante and I just love. There's one section, so Peter Fonda starts flipping out, and he's taken off all his clothes, and he runs out on this balcony overlooking Laurel Canyon, and Bruce Dern thinks he's going to jump, right? And he's going crazy, kind of typical acid trip stuff where you panic, and he's helping him into the house, and Bruce Dern says to him, "Come on, let's go in the living room." And Peter Fonda goes, "The living room? The living room." And Bruce Dern laughs, and he says, "Why are you laughing at me?" "Well, it's funny." He goes, "You're weird, man." So Joe and I always go the living room. It's so much like on acid where things take on extra meaning,
You know what? Perfect segue. Let's jump to another flick, shall we?
Sure.
Let's go to Spirits of the Dead, Histoire Extraordinaire.
An outstanding cast dissects the anatomy of terror. Starring Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon.
I propose double or nothing.
And if I lose?
I'll have you.
She gambled with life. He was fascinated by death. Terence Stamp, a man at war with himself.
To me, the devil is cheerful, agile.
Jane Fonda, Peter Fonda. She owned the world, but found herself possessed by a love stranger than madness.
Who do you think you are?
A happy man.
A passion as consuming as hellfire. An extraordinary adventure. Exciting, erotic, shocking, beyond your wildest nightmares. Only the tortured genius of Edgar Allan Poe could conceive this orgy of unspeakable horror. Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, Peter Fonda.
This is from 1968. 1968. This is a trio of films directed by a couple of filmmakers some people might have heard of: Roger Vadim, Louis Malle, and Federico Fellini. All being tales of Edgar Allan Poe. The first one,
to be fair, it doesn't live up to its potential. I saw it when it came out, and I've watched it again a couple times, and each time it doesn't quite. I think it's the Roger Vadim one that is basically isn't my wife gorgeous?
True.
My wife being, Jane Fonda. And how can I do the horniest movie possible with Jane Fonda?
I agree with you about it. However, that happens to be my favorite segment of the.
Okay.
I actually think it's the most successful. Just on the level of Poe always dances with this weird marrying your cousin attracted to your family theme, right? And it's been
that's a brother-sister thing.
Right. And it's been portrayed a lot in a lot of his movies. For the first time ever, you got the full impact of it here when Peter Fonda and Jane Fonda are flirting with one another. I hadn't seen this movie for years and years and years. Like you, I did not like it the first time I watched it. Watching it now with that level of weird eroticism going, Jesus Christ.
Well, watching it again, I was struck by how fake it is, and in a way that it doesn't overcome it. It just is like, it's like a fairy tale, but not, there is nothing real about it at all, which is not a bad thing. But at a certain point, they're all running around. They all look perfect. They change their clothes for every scene. Everyone's lying around eating grapes, screwing each other.
Yeah. What you're describing is great. Continue.
Yeah, I guess so. And the dark-haired woman that they seduce in the beginning, and I can't figure out from the credits who she was, is just stunning. Everyone in it is stunning. Oh, and they're always running and galloping through the countryside.
There's lots and lots of galloping. If you want
there is a lot of galloping.
If you have ever yearned to see Jane Fonda on a horse galloping on a beach, this is your movie.
Okay, in all fairness, you and I have to give credit to what a good horsewoman Jane Fonda is.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Effortless.
Yeah, she's like Ben Johnson or something, Wait, I think we
technically,
just went. We just broke the bank. We went right over everyone's head.
good. Go look it up. I said you were going to be educating everybody. I think if you put a Winchester in her hands,
Yes.
she would outdo Ben Johnson.
Okay, let's really get obscure.
Okay, yeah, please.
Jane Fonda's horseback riding in Spirits of the Dead is as good as Ben Johnson's horseback riding in Wagon Master.
Now you got me. You stumped me too. I'm one of the dum-dums now. Wagon.
Okay, John Ford movie. Okay.
Oh, man.
Ben Johnson is sent to get help, and it's a sequence of shots galloping across Monument Valley.
Naturally.
It's really him on the horse. And what makes it stand out is how it's edited. The woman who edited, Dorothy Spencer, I think it was Dorothy Spencer, is one of the great editors of all time. She worked for, get this, Hitchcock, Ford, and Ernst Lubitsch. I mean, really. And what she does is, as in the galloping, she jump cuts Ben Johnson from place to place. And it's just brilliant. In any case, it's a great horseback ride. And he was originally a wrangler on the Ford film. That's how he got his part.
Wow. I didn't know that about him. That's fantastic. Yeah, the Vadim segment here to me felt like he had watched Mask of the Red Death and thought more go-go boots.
Thank you. That's exactly it. More go-go boots.
And I want more nudity. I want to get away with what I can get away with because this is Europe. And
that film has more go-go boots than Barbarella.
Oh, I actually think Spirits of the Dead might edge out Barbarella.
Okay.
It was enough for me to go boots in my notes. So now the next segment is William Wilson. This is the Louis Malle segment.
Yeah.
Who evidently was not pleased that he had to do it in the end. He wanted other casting, I guess.
Okay.
Alain Delon was not his first choice, and I think that's totally insane because who could be more perfect for this role of...
I know. And the thing about it is you get the feeling that, it's interesting you say Louis Malle did not like it. It really feels like it was a party he was invited to and then wished he could go home.
That's exactly what it feels like.
He came here to make a serious movie, and it wasn't going to happen,
Sorry, it's still a twin attacking his twin, but, and a horrible person to boot. It's exploitation, no matter how you dress it up. Enjoy it.
Yeah. Whereas the Fellini one.
Yeah, let's talk Fellini. Alan, my Fellini knowledge is woefully deficient. I think I had an allergic.
All right, I gotta go. I gotta meet some people who know something about film.
That's unfair. Look, I've seen Lestrade.
I know. I appreciate
this shit. I know, but I feel bad. I actually feel guilty. This is the one sort of area that surrealist cinema just never really clicked with me, and I think the reason why is, having grown up in the age of industrial light and magic, I wanted my visual effects to be seamless. And so when they're going for artificial, my mind recoiled. I'm over that now.
Let's do this briefly now that you got me here. Okay. For you and other people who haven't dipped their toe in Fellini, let's do it real quick. All right. You might want to start with E. Vitelloni, because E. Vitelloni was actually somewhat remade by Martin Scorsese as Mean Streets.
Oh.
E. Vitelloni is about a bunch of friends who have reached a point in their life like either grow up, or don't, but petty gangsters and so forth, and one of them leaves town, and a beautiful ending sequence, and that's Fellini. So that's a great place to start. La Strada is a great date night movie.
How I saw it.
Yes, exactly. And it's so touching and lovely, and it's about a sad clown, sort of, Nights at Cabiria has been remade as Sweet Charity, and it's a story of a prostitute with a heart of gold and how life tries to crush her. And at the end, when she embraces life, It's one of the most beautiful 10 minutes of film you can imagine. Another movie that won't stretch your brain into exploding. Okay.
I'm definitely looking forward to that. Sweet Charity is one of my favorites of all
right.
time.
But now we're getting into La Dolce Vita, which is all about decadence, and to the point of where it's 3 hours long. And it's a fascinating movie about the 60s in Rome, and it invented the concept of the paparazzi. Because that's essentially who Marcello Mastroianni is. He's like a paparazzi. He's like a reporter for page 6 of the Post. It's all about that. And the things that they cover are not just the wealthy and the rich paparazzi stuff, but things where these children have seen not Jesus, Mother Mary. And so the press are waiting with her and these kids in this field for Mother Mary to appear again, And it's all about decadence and beauty. And Anita Ekberg is in it. And Rome is dazzling. And some of Rome was created on the movie set. So it's really the one that everyone made Fellini from being merely a very good director, and he had been acclaimed before that movie, into a worldwide phenomenon because it was so strikingly original. And it's in one of my favorite formats, widescreen black and white.
Ooh.
Yes. And every composition is like, oh my God, I wish I had this on my wall, So there's that, and it has the famous scene where Anita Ekberg goes swimming in the Trevi Fountain, which to this day, when you go to Rome, there's a crowd 10 deep, And then, of course, you have 8.5,
Now that I've seen.
That you've seen. Now, how many times have you seen it?
Once.
Okay.
It was during this period where I was trying, and I was just I need to put this away for a while. I'm the same with Frank Zappa. I can't get into it. I'm sorry.
All right.
Yeah.
That's an interesting comparison. I saw 8.5 on a double bill when I was in high school. And I really wanted to study film, but I was not getting any help from anybody because there was only 3 film schools. And my father thought it was a terrible idea. I don't need to go into my life story, but basically
I'll call you one. I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. So my friend and I went cut school, but technically we hadn't cut school. I want to make that clear.
I think your limitations is up.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, it was a Jewish holiday.
Okay.
So, okay. And we saw this double bill, Breathless, the Jean-Luc Godard, and 8.5. And halfway through 8.5, my brain exploded.
I was going to say that you had no knowledge of New Wave or any of this kind of cinema before this, right? And you
only the vaguest, because it was happening, and I was reading early film books, and I had gone. My father had recommended that I see this movie called Citizen Kane. So I had seen it on TV, and then I realized it was playing in a theater downtown in Greenwich Village. All good things in my life start in Greenwich Village. And I went to the Bleecker Street Cinema and saw Citizen Kane in a theater, and it was phenomenal. And there was a thing of coming soon, and I recognized the 2 titles, 8.5 and Breathless. And I knew there was some, I was this is 1965 or 6, so I was a senior in high school, so I kind of knew this, but I wasn't prepared for this to be as earth-shattering as it was. And so to tie in this conversation all together and to make this a bit of a humble brag, Joe Dante collects movies, okay? And back in the day with Joe, we'd watch movies every night on 16 millimeter, and he had a print of 8.5.
Oh, come on.
Okay? And it was dubbed into English, which normally would be a sin, but we thought that this was a better version because Guido, the main character, can't decide what great movie he's going to make next, and everyone is bugging him, and everyone all of a sudden realizes that Guido doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Now, the way that it is subtitles, it's mostly what's said is what's on the subtitles is what the main characters are saying. But in the dub version, you hear all the background people. And it's just like a movie set where people are going, oh God, what are we doing tomorrow? I have no idea. He doesn't know what he's doing. And so all that is in the movie. So I saw that on a double bill with The Trip, which Joe owned, right?
Huh? I love this.
Right? So these are two wacko movies. Guess who is sitting on a beanbag chair in the living room with me?
Who?
Jerry Garcia.
Because the surrealism wasn't surrealist enough, right?
Yes, and also I knew Jerry, and Jerry was recording in LA, and I knew his roadie Steve and everything, and they had a night off, so they all knew I had a projector, and so Jerry and I used to watch movies together, and so he came by, and so we watched 8.5, and I showed him The Trip, which he did not like at all, but he loved 8.5. So,
what was his complaint about The Trip per se?
He thought it was phony and terrible.
Was it the depiction of The Trip? Yeah,
yes, of course.
Okay. Not to keep hammering on Mr. Corman or anything.
But who better? There's your expert panel.
Oh my God, I know. I'm so goddamn envious. Let's jump back in time, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's jump back in time to what I think everyone considers the gold standard. I think if you talk to any filmmaker who's made an anthology film in the past 50, 60 years, they're going to say Dead of Night was their greatest inspiration for anthology.
That is exactly, The Dead of Night.
Know this part of the world at all? No. I've never been here before.
Like some tea, wouldn't you? Do you take milk and sugar? Milk and sugar, Mr. Craig. Milk and sugar, Mr. Craig.
Still there. So it isn't a dream this time?
I beg your pardon?
Yes, it isn't a dream this time. I must be going out of my mind. You see, everybody in this room is part of my dream. Everybody.
Gosh.
Good Lord, really?
Very extraordinary.
You're kidding.
Not all of us.
I can only tell you that when I came into this room, I recognized you all, instantly.
Having seen all our photographs in the newspapers, I take it, Dr. Van Slotten.
Of course, you may have seen me on the sports page. Motor racing's my line.
Peter, it's a mirror. Mr. Rutherford, tell me about it. That's why I came back. It belonged to a man who was crippled, who accused his wife, just as you're now accusing me. Peter, you must listen to me.
You're sort of teamed up with him, aren't you?
Him? My good man, think nothing of it. I'm just about through with that cheap ham anyway.
Okay, Peter.
Temper. You'll be sorry for this later, you know.
Yes, suppose I will.
Let's play another game.
Yes, hide and seek.
Who's to hide?
I'll hide. I'll hide.
Yes, Mr. Craig will hide. Mr. Craig will hide. Mr. Craig will hide.
Just room for one more inside, sir.
My introduction to Dead of Night was, okay, so for those of you who are too young to remember this, movies were actually shown on TV mostly all night long at a certain time because TV stations did not have enough programming. So from the early 50s on, local TV stations ran lots and lots of movies. They would cut them to 90 minutes, and they would never show them in the proper screen ratio. And even if it was color, it might be shown in black and white. And that's my film history. That in the East Coast, there was in the tri-state area, there was a show called $1 Million Movie. And there is not a filmmaker who gets an interview who grew up there who does not mention $1 Million Movie because they ran the movies 5 times.
5 times a week, right?
Yeah.
That's a film education going on right
now. Oh,
now.
God, yes. So even when I was in film school, we would compare TV guides, what we should watch, because you couldn't rent it.
Right. Oh my God, the TV listings was everything. Now, I got to experience a bit of what you're saying. I was born in 73. So for me, I still had all the major networks went off the air at midnight or 1. And then the syndicated local stations would show movies as well.
So I'm still in the Joe Dante era, Roger Corman era of my life. And LA's got Channel 5, movies kind of all night. And I just used to put it on, and I fell asleep one night after somewhere during dead of night. And I woke up in time for the part of it where it starts over again.
That's the best.
And it did everything that movie wants to do.
Oh my God, that they couldn't have made it better. Like, what a better experience could anyone have had? None.
Yes, it's a movie. It's not a movie. It's a Mobius strip,
Yeah, there's a reason everyone points to this one as that gold standard, because here's the thing about anthology films. I've been doing a lot of anthology movies over the years, and I can say the wraparound segment is either your most important segment for an anthology or it is the least important segment.
Yeah.
If there's a theme going on, I don't need to be introduced to any of it. But if you're going to take the time to introduce it, then watch this movie and think, are we as good as this? And if not, don't bother. Go back to the other way. Because
just when you think it's ending, the credits start again. And you're going, wait a minute, have I lost my mind? Is the station making a mistake?
Yeah, it really, I mean, you could literally splice it together and just watch it over and over.
Yeah, because it is a loop,
Yeah, and this is 1945.
Wow.
In London, Ealing Studios, which mainly we know from their comedies. And here they decide, let's make an anthology of supernatural horror, because evidently, so this is actually 46. So this is after the war, because there was a ban on horror filmmaking during the war. Nobody wanted to see monsters or spooks when bombs are falling from the sky, evidently. But we're given this film, we're given 5 stories. And okay, so what's the first one that comes to your mind?
The Ventriloquist.
The Ventriloquist, I mean, it's everyone's answer. Yeah. Hugo.
I actually don't remember much of what happened. Is there a dinner party scene in the movie somewhere?
Yeah, it's pretty late in the game too. So like you've gotten through 4 stories before you get to him.
Yeah, I tried to find it. It's a little hard to find, but it is the best one.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, we're given a character who comes to a English cottage. There's a group of people there, and he tells them this dream he's been having, and then they all relate their own stories, and they all time.
That's right. So that's the dinner party thing that stays in my mind. Yeah.
Yes, with the German doctor who's there to science will disprove all of your theories. I want to point out there is one actress in it. There's a segment in it about a mirror that when a character looks into the mirror, he's looking back in time. Everything in the mirror.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It is a marvelous segment. The entire movie is perfect for sort of gentle horror that is still incredibly.
It does, but there's a feeling of dread about it.
Yes.
And that feeling that the Twilight Zone used to capture. And I think it captured because the theme was so evocative, because the way the music would hand over the story with that bum bum bum, the music and the format contextualized it and made you feel concerned no matter what happened. You knew that nothing was going to happen that was good.
Right. And what I particularly liked about this one is the lack of music at times, the very conscious effort to let a scene play.
I was talking more about the Twilight Zone than Dead of
Night. No, they're doing a lot of that too. There are moments of, here it comes, folks, in Dead of Night, but there are just as many quiet moments that I just found spectacular. We're going to see that a lot in Kwaidan as well.
Kwaidan is a movie that I don't watch for the story. Okay, I've
You
tried.
You don't read the Bible for the prose.
No, it's just this world that's created on stage, and the fact that there is no music. That it's so quiet at times and on, and that the widescreen cinematography, in a way, going back to Fellini, okay, one that stands out in the later period after 8.5 is Amarcord. And I've seen
Amarcord. I like Amarcord.
Yeah, and I worked on the trailer for Amarcord. And so that was during my Corman years. And there is a sequence in there where they're always talking about this great ship that's going to float by. And when you see it, it's clearly made out of wood. And the waves are plastic that's being waved up and down.
Right.
But the music is Nino Rota and so grand and wonderful, and the phoniness of it is what makes it, everyone's acting like this is the most beautiful thing in the world. And so you go along with it. And that's kind of the Kwaidan aspect of it. It's incredibly beautifully made. And the reality of the sets and everything has nothing to do with anything.
Right. And here's where I think I could get into Kwaidan much easier than I could anything with Fellini, because this is way more impressionistic than surrealistic in a way. It's much more theatrical than I think Fellini was going for, where here it's, what's funny is I was about to say it's all artificial because it's all soundstage. And I rewatched the movie last night, and that's not true. There are scenes fully shot in forests, and there's an entire like horse riding sequence with archery that takes place outdoors. But the stuff that takes place indoors is so well controlled and so beautifully realized. Just the backdrops, these giant glowing eyes watching over everything.
Oh my God, yes. It's so of its own piece. And I've shown sections of it to my students, and they are impressed with it. It's a very hard movie to excerpt because everything takes a lot longer than you think it is because you're so engrossed in trying to figure it out, And it's a ghost story in the way that there's a Kurosawa movie. No, I'm sorry. It's a Mizoguchi movie. Ugetsu. Is a ghost story. You don't realize it's a ghost until it's too late.
Right. Well, speaking of Akira Kurosawa, now he made his own anthology film called Dreams.
Yes, I have that right here on the shelf. Yeah.
In the late 1980s. And in that, he has a story about the Yuki-onna, which is basically the same story we get here, which is about the woman in the snow. This is a story that has been repeated a lot in a lot of anthologies. Obviously, Kwaidan is all of the stories in it are based on Japanese folklore. But that one seems to resonate. It keeps getting made over and over again, including up until John Harrison's film Tales from the Dark Side, the movie, did a version of it with a gargoyle and James Remar as a sculptor, where he has to promise not to reveal that this gargoyle. That segment, interestingly, you said it's hard to excerpt this movie. When they first released the film, they found it too long, so they removed the woman in the snow segment.
Right.
Which is madness to me.
Of course. Removing anything,
Right. And while rewatching it, I kept thinking, like, okay, what do you cut here? Like, and as it plays out, it doesn't matter. Like, you're either buying this movie or you're not. It is, you're not watching the plot. It is this feeling, and what a crazy esoteric feeling he's giving you. I understand Masaki Kobayashi, who's the director of this film. Like he painted those backdrops himself.
Wow. We are not worthy. I mean, have you ever seen the shot drawings that Kurosawa did for Ron? I mean, they're paintings.
Yeah, and almost every frame here is a painting. It's sumptuous. It is an embarrassment of riches. Like, this is a movie I think I watch once a year. And you know what's funny? Some of the stories I couldn't even tell you what happens in them.
Exactly.
By the time we get to the last,
the way the water looks in it too, and the snow.
Yeah. By the time we're getting to a cup of tea, I'm like, what is even? I don't know. I'm so lost in this world. Like, just continue.
You know who loves that movie? Oh shit! There's a DP and he also a director now, and he shot Do the Right Thing.
You're talking about Ernest Dickerson.
Ernest loves that movie. You know?
I'm trying, Ernest Dickerson. I'm on my main feed of the show. We're covering Tales from the Dark Side. Ernest Dickerson was a DP. That was his first gig. We talk about him a lot. He is a fucking amazing filmmaker. And an incredible DP. All of the stuff he did in Malcolm X, I urge everyone to go check that stuff out again, man. All the stuff in Mecca, it is incredible.
And he's a really good director. His episodes of The Wire and Treme and that zombie TV series, and we worked together on Heroes and a bunch of other stuff. He's a Trailers from Hell guy,
Oh yeah, certainly. Yeah, no, I'm going to plug that again at the end of the show as well. I'll have a thing in the comments section for Trailers from Hell where you all guys are the trailer gurus, keeping the trailers alive. I love trailers. When I was a projectionist in Santa Monica for the 90s, basically at the New Wilshire Theater, and we had boxes and boxes of trailers. And if I had time alone in that movie theater, I built up fucking 4 hours of trailers and sat there, put them on the platter and just let it run. Anyway.
For me, making them is a real joy. I love the film history aspects of it. And because I have edited so many trailers, and know the form really well, when I'm doing it for that, I have that rhythm right away. I have that sense of a little bit of what the movie is, narrator. A little bit of what the movie is, narrator. So
what's your favorite trailer you cut?
Favorite trailer I cut? Good point. Okay. I really like Eat My Dust.
Okay. Yes. All right.
I like that one a lot. I actually like the trailer, but not the movie, of Death Sport. Because
you're speaking of the movie you directed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And especially all you people, you don't have to look at the trailer. Just go to my Trailer from Hell. And that describes the experience. And as well, go to my Trailer from Hell about Truffaut's Small Change. This is kind of the thing that you might find really interesting. So Joe and I started Corman in 74, spring of 74. And so we're cutting the shows, and Roger had just started his own trailer department instead of farming it out. So,
got to keep the cost down.
What?
Got to keep the cost down. These kids are willing to do it.
And his assistant said that, and that was John Davison. And John and I were at NYU in the Fillmore together. And John had begged his way into getting a job on Jonathan Kaplan's first two movies for Roger. Jonathan was the first of the NYU guys. So he says, we should just have someone on staff. Roger says, get some film students, So he gets Joe. And then they realize that it's too big, so they ask me. So now that's the trailer department, John, Joe, and I. And we had to figure out how to make the trailers. Remember, we had experience in 16 millimeter. This is 35 millimeter.
Right.
This is a form we've seen, but we have never done. So we have to come up with a methodology that fits in with the cost of what we have to do in a very specific world, because, for instance, when you shot a Corman movie, you shot it in color, but you edited it in black and white.
That's a cost-effective procedure?
Yeah, because a black and white work print was cheaper. So
you don't need color while you're cutting. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
And you remember it. You were there. You were on the set. Come on.
Exactly. And they give you two color shots, one interior and one exterior. Okay, so then everything should be fine.
Naturally.
Okay, so now we do the black and white, so we have something to cut. So we're having a dupe of a Xerox.
Okay.
So you cut the trailer.
You remember what it looked like before. Continue.
And now you have to do the TV spots. So you dupe the dupe. So what you have is these abstract black and white shapes moving around.
No wonder you're a Fellini fan.
Yes, and we cut them on moviolas, which had one soundtrack.
Oof.
Right? So you cut all the explosions and the actions in there. And then while it's playing, you recited the voiceover in the voice of the voiceover guys, you know? So it's TNT Jackson, she'll put you in traction. And we got good at imitating them. And that's how we cut them, you know? And Roger would come down to the editing room. And there's one of these things that's total bullshit, is executives who say, I can see a rough cut. I know how to watch it, even though it's not finished. They don't. They have no idea. And now with Avid and everything, you can do 8, 9 tracks. But Roger would stand there, watch our black and white dupe with 1 track, and have us stand there and read the narration and give us very specific notes.
And they're right, I bet.
What?
And I bet they were correct.
They were absolutely correct. And since we knew his films, it gave us a leg up on what kind of thing he wanted to be selling. He didn't have to explain it to us too much. And what he did explain, we caught on with really well. And plus, you had films by Jonathan Demme, for instance, you know, and stuff. So that went along pretty well. And he had already bought Cries and Whispers.
Right.
Which I don't tell anyone was originally called Whispers and Cries, but we kind of screwed it up. Anyway.
Okay, well, that's what Criterion collections are for.
Yeah. And so now he calls us up and he says, come down to the editing, come down to a screening room. I just bought another picture and I need we find out we need a trailer for Tuesday. This is like Labor Day weekend of 74. And we sit down in a room that we've seen Caged Heat and Summer School Teachers and Candy Striped Nurses, you know, and Big Bad
I love
Mama.
Candy Striped Nurses. Well, that's a classic.
It is. It's not bad.
I'm not kidding. It's a great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh wait, not Candy Striped Nurses. Summer School Teachers is better. But you know,
I'm not comparing them. I'm just saying that one's good.
Yeah. And plus, Candy Striped Nurses also and Summer School Teachers have the great Candace Ryerson. So on comes Fellini's Amarcord. And we're like, holy fuck, we got to cut a trailer on this? And it ends, and we're like beside ourselves, you know? And finally, Roger says, boys, I know it's Fellini, but we're still selling sex and violence. So I want the woman with the big breasts, I want the racing cars, I want this and that. And so we had a copy of this movie, and we had to dupe the whole movie. We didn't have any separate tracks to mix. We just had to use a track right off the optical and had to cut it in over a weekend. It's one of the best trailers we ever did. So what became very apparent is that this was a very fortuitous moment for Roger and his ambitions as a distributor, producer, and us as young filmmakers. We knew a lot, and he knew then that we knew a lot. And so it allowed him to have a shorthand, and it allowed us to gain trust so that we basically, there was 2 parts to New World. There was Roger's offices and all that, and there was the editing rooms, which was a power center because everybody cut their movies there, and everyone would talk at lunch about, oh, Roger wants this or that, and we would interpret, you know.
Right.
And it was a very great place to be for 5 or 6 years, you know, which is how long we lasted there. And so when he brought us Truffaut's Small Change, now we had already done Adele H, you know, which is a very serious movie and a very straightforward trailer. Now we looked at Small Change, and, you know, it's a charming, wonderful movie. And it's little kids, you know, and inevitably afterwards in the session of talking about what are we going to sell at that point, it was a real
boobs here, Roger.
Yeah, he wasn't
no car chase.
Yeah, it was not we were well past the point where he would dictate to us, you know. We would go back and forth, and we said, well, there's a scene where the kid falls out the window, but if we put that in the trailer, it's so disconnected, they'll think it's the wrong kind of movie. And so I said, well, look, this is a small movie. It's an art house movie. Let's sell Truffaut. Let's just say this is a Truffaut movie, and that every kid in the movie is like a character out of Truffaut because he's a true auteur. So that's how we sold it. Now, we said we'd show a shot of one kid. We go, this is like Jean-Pierre Léaud. And we put a shot of Jean in, Love on the Run or whatever. And that's kind of it. Now, to have an executive of a company who owns the company understand what that was.
Well.
And sign off on it. Phenomenal,
Yeah, you're not going to get that at Paramount in the 70s. Michael Eisner isn't going to understand that.
No. And so we cut the trailer, and Roger really likes the trailer. I mean, we're talking about a week. That's what you had to cut it. And he says, Truffaut's going to be in town. And I'd love to have you show him the trailer. I said, he is.
I'm going to jump out the window.
It would be great if we could get him to narrate the beginning of the trailer.
No pressure.
Because it's all about his stuff, it's about him. And he goes, oh, we'll ask him. And we ask him. And now Truffaut comes to the New World Pictures editing room.
I love this story.
Isn't this too much? And he watches the trailer with us. And he goes, this is very good. This is better than the French trailer. And then we take him over to the sound place and he does his narration. We're big shots. We're going to take Truffaut out to lunch.
How hard are you fucking high-fiving Joe Dante after he makes your trailer better than the French?
Yeah. We usually went to lunch at Los Burritos, or we got hot dogs from the bowling alley.
Hey, man. When in Rome.
So we paid for him to go. We had lunch with him at Hamburger Hamlet.
Oh, I love Hamburger. I loved Hamburger Hamlet.
Yeah. So we're sitting there the whole time, and the book Hitchcock Truffaut.
Yes.
And so it turned out to be Hitchcock Truffaut New World. We just asked him a million questions and so forth, and questions about Small Change you could only know if you've run it on the moviola,
Right.
And we said, okay, well, thank you. And so we could see it's like enough, guys. And so we said,
I appreciate the respect, but I'm tired now.
Yes. What can we do for you?
Yeah.
And he decides, I think, to put us on, And he says, what can we do for you? You're in town for like another day, and we'd love to reciprocate, your kindness. And he goes, well, I would love to see a IB Technicolor print of Vertigo. And this was at the point where Vertigo was not in distribution. And at this point in the 70s, Hitchcock had pulled Vertigo, To Catch a Thief, Rear Window, and a couple other ones out of circulation. So they were not available.
So he wanted a unicorn from you guys.
Yes. And Joe Dante says, oh, I can get us a print of Vertigo. And he says, but it's 35. So we need a theater to run it in. Now,
okay.
So there's no money in New World. We know calling up Roger and say, we want to rent the screening room is, So we call up.
Can I just interrupt you for a second, Alan? You guys don't have a screening room at New World?
No.
This is all moviola stuff, like you were describing, like showing him the trailer.
And there was a screening room called Classics that Roger would pay money to for screenings. Okay. But for instance, the original director of Death Sport, never saw a New World picture, let alone Death Race, because Roger wouldn't rent the room. We made the sequel without seeing the original. Okay. So imagine surviving there.
I love this. Oh my God. I'm so envious. Okay.
So we tell John Davis and he said, we got this thing and he's going to do this. Oh, John, we called John. How's the lunch going? How's it going? Maybe John was with us. And I think he probably was. I don't think he could miss this. And he goes, let me make a phone call. So he calls up the New Art Theater on Santa Monica Boulevard. And
well acquainted with it.
Yeah. And he says, you have any movies this afternoon that you're screening? He goes, no, the theater's empty. I says, okay, here's the thing. I noticed this. We're here with Francois Truffaut, and he wants to see Vertigo in 35 millimeter, which we can accomplish. A Technicolor IB print. but we need some place to screen. He goes, I'm on my way. And so we sat in an empty theater and watched it with him.
That's incredible. Can I just ask a question about okay, so when you're screening a trailer for Roger, let's say, right, and you're standing next to him, you're reading the copy, right?
Yeah.
The next time that copy was read, it was the narrator. There was never a temp of you guys doing it, was there?
No.
Okay, I think this is something you guys should do over Trailers from Hell. You should recut, or not recut, but redub all of the New World pick that you guys did, but in your voice. I think
with our voices.
Yes, I think that would be a treat for everybody.
Oh God, our ability to do Ron Gans's voice,
I bet you're still right up there. I need to hear that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
just it's a scream. What is it? We could do Don Steele too. It's a screaming, squealing smash-a-thon. We could do that, and then the smarmy ones. Tidal wave. The whole country will. No, not. Oh, wait a minute. Here's a good one. Here's a Ron Gans one. CoverGirl models. They don't need clothes to strike a pose.
I love that one. How about $1 million foldouts that never hold out? That one stuck in my head for some reason.
Oh my God, yes. Or they may be. Oh wait. They may be underexposed, but they're never overdeveloped. But they're always. I don't know, something like that.
All right, we got one more to go. Now this is the one that actually made me the happiest. No one ever includes this in a horror anthology.
Oh, I hope I remember what it was.
It is Poison, Todd Haynes, 1990.
Oh, yes. Yes. I am a big Todd Haynes fan.
As am I.
Yeah.
He's like a gentle provocateur, man. And always an interesting filmmaker to boot.
And I made a trilogy of Todd Haynes Trailers from Hell. Just recently they've been aired. One was Velvet Underground, which I loved.
Velvet Goldmine.
It was all about the art scene, the trailer, and he did a great job on that movie. Velvet Goldmine, which another movie, which not a strong plot, but just fabulous and glitter rock and all that great music. And
a great world to inhabit. He like that.
Yeah.
Spectacular.
And Far From Heaven, which was my trailer from Hell about the influence of Douglas Sirk. So I thought, well, I have not seen Poison. And in watching it, first off, it may have supernatural aspects to it and horror aspects to it, but it is so tied to the queer experience that it uses all these horrific elements in terms of queer culture. And as such, it's also pretty experimental. So my feeling is that in watching it, it's so early in his career, not all the clips, the sections work as a whole. So what he did was he patchworked them. He goes from one to another.
Right.
And that's what gives you this sense of overall view of queer culture that he is experiencing, that he is trying to bring to us. And that's what makes it such a bold visual, such a bold statement, I think the next one was Safe, was maybe, and I think I think he had already done the Carpenter's one.
Superstar, the Karen Carpenter story, which we're going to be covering soon. So I've been watching that a lot. I'm sort of a
How did you find it?
Oh, through nefarious purposes. When I lived in Los Angeles, I was a frequenter of Eddie Brandt's. Remember Eddie?
Oh,
Brandt's?
I love Eddie Brandt. Me too.
Eddie Brandt's always had a copy of Karen Carpenter story. Let's say I might have. I didn't. They're gone. I duped it. I have a VHS copy of it, so that's what I'm watching.
Oh, and also sometimes you just forget to return something.
That happens.
For 20, 30 years.
If they go out of business and I still have it, finders keepers, I figure.
You think it's on YouTube?
It is actually. It is actually.
Okay.
Look, the thing about them getting pulled as it was, I think nobody cares at this point now that Richard Carpenter is expired.
Yeah.
So he was really the only one, and for a specific reason. Anyway, Poison, yes, the queer point of view, not only the queer point of view, but the entire film takes the notion of you're excluding us and embraces it. And,
yes.
And so all of that outside exclusion becomes the threat. And he's using the stories of Jean Genet here, which
yes. That's right. And the Genet thing is really apparent,
Well, particularly with the prison
that I've read, and I have not read a lot of it, but if you know much about certain kind of literature and the Beat Generation and all that, you understand Genet's place in it, and in this thing, that is this overall flavor of what's that called? It's not called roughhouse sex, but it's leather boys and things like that.
Rough trade.
Rough trade, that's it.
Right. He doesn't shy away from that. Nevertheless, as I said, I called him a gentle provocateur. It never feels like an attack. His provocation is just by showing you the thing.
Yes, exactly.
I remember at the time this movie came out, this is the first film I saw after I moved to Los Angeles. I should say that.
Wow.
I had heard about the superstar. I had heard the name. And when I went to USC, and as soon as I heard that this film was available, I got on a bus and went downtown and saw it. People weren't prepared for this movie, but it's like I said, it never feels like it's in your face. It doesn't feel like John Waters, here's the bad taste of it all, but it doesn't ever shy away from the bad taste. Like you said, the rough trade, yes, it's part of our culture. I'm going to show that because we're going to indulge in that from time to time. These other aspects that you find unappetizing are part of it, and let's embrace it.
Yeah. It's not unlike the effect of seeing, and this would have been years earlier, Scorpio Rising. The first time you see Scorpio Rising, even though there is not anything bad happening, the implicit threat of these men, and this being a sexual thing, and the irony of the pop songs, and the way that they are fetishizing what they wear and everything, it has a strong overall effect, which Poison does in its own way as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I marveled at this film at the time, and I think it doesn't get enough love. And his later work is more lauded. And of course, the Karen Carpenter thing is legendary, because who gets their movie taken away from them like that unless you work at Warner Brothers these days? Am I right?
Yeah, right. And I saw a Warner Brothers movie last night, which they decided to dump, which is the Clint Eastwood movie.
What are they doing now?
It's called Juror Number 2.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just kind of letting it slip away.
Die on the vine.
Yeah.
Good Lord. They were my favorite studio, Warner Brothers.
Wow.
From the golden age, How the Mighty Have Fallen. Anyway, Poison.
Yeah, they had a great variety of movies, and they had great producers and so forth. But
Raoul Walsh they had James
I was just I was doing my Pilates this morning. I was watching They Drive By Night.
Oh my God. Okay. I think we've covered it all, Mr. Arkush.
Yeah.
I want to thank you so much for your time and knowledge and entertainment over the years.
Oh, thank you. It was fun.
I thank you all for joining us here at Midnight Viewing Anthologies Attack. If you'd like to support the show, you can hit subscribe and like and give us 5 stars and say a few nice words about us on whatever podcast you're listening to, Spotify or Apple or whatever. Or if you're feeling a little more financially generous, you can head over to patreon.com/Father Malone, where you'll get episodes early and commercial free and bonus content you can't get anywhere else. Our theme song was composed by HP. We're on the Weirding Way Media Network.
Hello, this is Aaron West. I am the author of the A24 New Wave. In this book, I look at A24's output and I make the argument that we are in a new wave movement right now. A24 plays a major role. This book has a supplemental podcast where each episode is a brief conversation about an A24-related topic, whether an actor, director, or even a genre. As I continue research for the book and conduct interviews, I expect to record podcast episodes with people involved with the company. You can find the podcast at cinejourneys.com or wherever you find podcasts, and we are proud to be members of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.